What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day as we have some interesting data coming out for the markets and what's going on with the technicals for all these different tickers as we have some new data developments for Tesla. But before I break anything down with all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things real quick. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks, and any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends in just 2 weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla in the market. So, looking at Tesla, we have some very, very interesting looking developments on the chart. On the 4 hour time frame, we have an inverse head and shoulders like structure that could be developing, but Tesla needs to break some key resistance for this to play out. But at the same time, on the 4 hour time frame, we also have this other head and shoulders that's much larger that's also developing. Now, one of these will be invalidated and one of these should play out. As of right now, it's looking more like Tesla has this inverse head and shoulders, the smaller one that's actually going to play out. That's because Tesla managed to close above 250 for today. So in my intraday video, I told you all that if Tesla closed above 250, I would favor the bulls a bit more. If we closed below 250, there easily could have been more downside coming, but we managed to close above 250, which is a good sign. Now, in the morning, Tesla had their deliveries numbers, and they were not good whatsoever. Although Tesla has its very, very bullish looking target of 1.8 million vehicles to be delivered for the end of the year, the thing is, Tesla only did about 435,000 deliveries for the third quarter, with production of 430,000. Now, Wall Street was expecting 454 plus thousand, or at least 450,000. So they did a little bit worse than expected. They missed expectations, and that's what we were expecting. And as a result, Tesla ended up actually pumping after this came out. Now, we initially dropped, but then Tesla ended up pumping. It cooled off a little bit, and then it managed to close a little bit in the green. It's a very volatile day. Tesla spent a lot of time trying to hold up. This was kind of ironic because many people were expecting Tesla to sell off after missing on deliveries. And the majority of the time, that is what would end up happening. But this time around, Tesla was prepared for it. And we ended up seeing the market affecting Tesla very differently. So, for that reason, it's very important to be prepared for anything. And in this case, the bulls look like they have the edge over Tesla, getting us to close above 250. So, I warned everyone if we closed above 250, I'd be bullish. If we closed below it, I would turn more bearish. As of right now, we managed to close above it, and there's a lot of potential for Tesla to push up more. But it's not just, okay, it's not just because of Tesla. It's also going to be because of the whole market. So we want to be watching what these technicals look like. We want to be watching what SPY is looking like too, because those things could affect how the market ends up moving too alongside Tesla. When it comes to data coming out for tomorrow, I just want to add that for Tuesday, which is going to be tomorrow, we have some very important data. We have the JOLTS job openings report coming out for tomorrow at about 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. We also have the economic optimism report and the job quits all coming out tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. So this is going to be some of the most important data for tomorrow, especially the jobs numbers. This may cause some volatility. So be prepared for some high volatility after the first 30 minutes. And to add on to this, I just want to mention that on a seasonality basis, okay, the market has a tendency of falling for the month of September, which is what we saw this year. Then, as we hit October, we tend to see the market bounce and kind of like push a bit for the first week and a half to 2 weeks. And then we tend to sell off during the third week. During the third week, when the market sells off, that's when we tend to see a more bears step in just temporarily for the market to either make its bottom of the year or for the market to establish a higher low. So I think that's very likely as to what's going to happen this time around. So long as earnings are not the worst, or as long as earnings and guidance are decent, there's a good chance that this could play out to establish us for a very, very nice run for November and December back to some crazy, crazy high numbers. Now, it sounds like crazy, but once you see the fundamentals and the technicals, things will make a lot more sense. But for now, we're not going to worry too much about November and December. Those can be very bullish months for Tesla as well as we have the Cybertruck coming out officially. We have the launch event coming out very soon, and not to mention more and more of the deliveries data will be coming out very soon. So that's very good news for Tesla. But I just want to mention that for the month of October, we typically are going to start off strong, get one little week of selling during the third or so week, then finally get one last strong push to end October to prepare us for the last 2 months, which tend to be two of the most bullish months of the year historically. So that's what tends to happen. That is what's very probable for Tesla. The market was extremely fearful during these times. That's exactly when we should become greedy, at least according to Warren Buffett and many other great investors. That is when we have to be ready for what's about to come. The market is still quite fearful based on market momentum, the overall stock price indexes, and other reports like this. The puts and call options are still in extreme fear mode, which is still, once again, leading me to believe that the exact opposite is what's about to happen. Now, when it comes to Tesla, I just want to mention that we had about 123 million in volume, so good volume is still coming in, and the short volume is still kind of low, which is still a good sign for the bulls. Now, to add on to this, Piper Sandler has come out. They've given Tesla an overweight rating, saying that Tesla is going to outperform the market, and this is some good news that came out just earlier over the last couple of days. Price price ratio is going up a little bit as Tesla's gaining some relative strength. On top of all of that, I just want to note that when it comes to daily seasonality, we're green about 51% of the time on Tuesdays. We tend to do a little bit better. The shorting on Tesla went up a little bit, but it doesn't really matter because for now, we're still seeing Tesla continuing to outperform and hold up quite decently. So now what do I see for the share price? Here's my answer, guys. Yes, we have two formations developing. We have an inverse head and shoulders like right here. We also have a larger head and shoulders on the 4-hour chart. So what do I think is more likely? Both of them are possible. They both could end up playing out. Okay. If you want to see the head and shoulders play out, you want to see Tesla break below the low of the day and eventually break below 248, break below 244, and there is going to be more merits for it. If you want to see this smaller inverse head and shoulders end up trumping the bigger one, if you want to see this play out, we have this like left shoulder here, the head and the right shoulder. You want to see Tesla hold above this 250 area and start pushing above 254. What do I think is more likely? Well, looking at the current trend, okay, Tesla priced in all the deliveries data really quick. It was faster than what I was expecting because historically we tend to see Tesla sell off after it misses, but this time around it didn't really happen that way. This was a really good trap for the amount of shorts that piled into Tesla because the shorting on Tesla has went up like crazy. We saw about 40 million Tesla shares shorted just a few days ago. So this threw a lot of shorts and retail off the boat. For this moment, I believe it's very probable that Tesla has an inverse head and shoulders, okay? And we're most likely going to see Tesla break to the upside and break towards 257, which is where we have this imbalance to 260. I'm leaning more in the direction of 260, but just to be safe, you want to be watching for confirmation. Let's see Tesla could hold 250. If it manages to do so, it has potential to go all the way up to 257 to 260, and I'm leaning a bit more in that direction as of right now. For SPY, I'm leaning more bullish. We made a higher low, right here. We have a nice cup and handle being established right here, and there's a good chance we're going to see 432 plus as I'm leaning a bit more bullish. And I think that SPY likely has more upside coming. The cup and handle is most likely going to play out. If we break below 424, there could be some potential for the bears, but I'm not leaning in that direction. I think we're most likely going to see 432 plus as we have this nice formation. On the IWM, we have a bullish divergence off this 173 retest. I think we're going to bounce off here and see 176 plus. On Aapl has a very nice looking cup and handle, nice inverse head and shoulders. I think 175 plus is a real possibility. I'm leaning more bullish on Aapl. If we break below 172, then the bears could get some control, but I'm not leaning in that direction. I think 175 is coming. For the QQQ, I'm leaning more bullish. We have a nice cup and handle forming on the QQQ. I think 365 is more probable, and I think it's very likely we're going to see that. Nvidia looks more bullish overall. We have a very strong looking uptrend when we zoom out of the chart. The daily looks more bullish as well. If you just look at the daily, we're about to get a bullish cross in the PPO. I believe this thing is going to be heading towards this 457 to 460 area right here, this resistance right here. I think 460 is coming. And if we break that, 462.5 could be on the table as well. So I think 460 is coming for Nvidia at the very least. I'm leaning more bullish overall as this thing continues to break out. Microsoft also looks more bullish. I think 325 is going to be the next target of this 200 EMA test. And we have a nice inverse head and shoulders. Microsoft looks more bullish. AMD looks more bullish as we're about to once again form a nice inverse head and shoulders. I think it's going to break out towards 109 over the next couple of days. To add on to this, when you look at the VIX, this is supporting the bull case for the markets because we have a head and shoulders developing on the VIX. The VIX may start selling off a bit because the market may pump, causing that to happen. The dollar hit 107, but you have to remember the dollar has a bearish divergence that established right here. The dollar may reject and start cooling off as the market starts to pump. Coinbase also looks a bit more A little weak right now. It's going to cool off a little bit, but we have a nice inverse head and shoulder structure. So I could see it cooling off a little bit more towards 74 than bouncing and start pushing back up towards 80. I think that's very probable for this inverse head and shoulders. I think it's very likely that Coinbase is going to drop a little bit more than bounce once again. Google looks more bullish. I think Google's going to try to make its way back up towards these imbalances. We're going to be watching this resistance at 136.5. I think it's very likely Google's going to test that. The 10-year treasury yield is still up quite a bit, but we have a bearish divergence being established and a gap down below. If this starts cooling off, if yields start dropping, that could be bullish for the markets, and we're getting some sell signals on the yields. For Amazon, if we break above 130, I'm going to be watching this thing approach 132.5 as we have this resistance up here, and we have potential for it to bounce as we have an inverse head and shoulders. For Meta, it's the same thing. We have an inverse head and shoulders like structure that developed, not to mention the fact that it's forming a giant cup and handle at the same time. I think this thing is going to likely break out towards 310 and potentially hit 313 very, very soon. I'm leaning a bit more bullish throughout the market. I think the market's due for a bounce, so it's very probable during this time. Tesla could still go either way, but I'm leaning more bullish because of the fact that the 4 hour has an inverse head and shoulders, and we managed to close above 250, which gave the edge to the bulls. Remember, I told you guys intraday that if we closed below 250, I would have switched my opinion. But if we managed to actually get a strong close, and it looks like we're going to see more and more of these potential bullish developments as the markets do for this. Excuse me, and seasonality is continuing to give us that same confirmation. So, with that said, look for a bounce on Tesla. If this thing holds above 250, watch 254 as the next critical resistance. If that breaks, 257 to 260 should be on the table, as Tesla managed to bounce and hold up quite decently. All right, guys. So hopefully this video was helpful. I thank you all so much for listening. Sometimes ironic things could happen. Even if we get bad deliveries, Tesla could still bounce sometimes because it could quickly price things in. And sometimes, the expected move could be what is not at all what it ends up doing because too many shorts pile in at once. Too many people are expecting the same thing. And the market is just always going to try to screw over as many people as possible. That's honestly the truth, but it doesn't really matter because we could still overcome this and we could still find a way through, as these obstacles are nothing more than motivation and, very, very good things to learn from. All right. So thank you for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for the next video. Thank you and peace out.